next month. It's the first time that the Access Office has done this event, so bear with us as we get through some of the information that we're going through today. My name is Amy Bird, and I am the Director for Access and Student Success in the district. I want to take a minute to introduce my wonderful staff that I have here today, and they're here every day to provide the best services and care for our students. The first person who will really love this because she's chewing, Diane Callant. Could you give a wave? Diane is our secretary for the Access Office. Most of you have seen her and met with her. I have with me Regina, who's working right now, being our interpreter for the event, and we appreciate having her around. We have Jeffrey Littleton, who's back at our table for Access Office. Hopefully a lot of you already know Jeffrey. I also have Scott Armstead, who's here. Yeah, Scott's here. He's our assistive technology person, and he works at every campus. And then I also want to thank Renee Dingman for coming today. Give us a wave, Renee. She is one of our specialists at our Forest Park campus. We appreciate that she is here as well. I've left out one person, Wagner, who is the most important person to this date. She is the one that really streamlined this whole event. She spearheaded everything for us, and she has been working for the last couple of years just focusing a lot of what she does for students who are on the autism spectrum. She has done a lot of additional research. She's done some professional development around how we can best serve the students that are on the spectrum. A lot of things have changed. Mary's going to talk to you about why we're thinking about our work specifically with this population of students. And she's also going to talk about who our guests are. I wanted to take just a minute to point out the artwork that we have displayed at the back of the room. The artwork was done by students that are here with us today, and some pieces of art that are done by students who couldn't be with us today. But we really realized that sometimes when students are on the spectrum, it can be difficult for them to express themselves and really explain to other people what that feels like to be on the spectrum. So we thought, let's ask them to express themselves through art. And so we got some really wonderful pieces that we can't wait to continue to utilize and hang up in our offices forever. So we really appreciate that. And with that, I'm going to bring Mary up here to talk about more of our event.
Hello, welcome to our gathering this afternoon for Autism Acceptance, and thank you for coming. We really appreciate that you're here. And why we're here is because we want to recognize our growing population of students diagnosed with autism. And it has been significant for us here at Florissant Valley. Over the past 5 to 6 years, starting in 2016, only 6% of our students were diagnosed as autistic. 2017, that grew to 10%, 2018, 13%, 2019, 17%, and then in 2021, we had a dip. It went down to 15%. We think that's because of COVID. Which certainly affected all of our students. And it became clear to us that students on the spectrum presented us with needs in communication, self-advocacy, and academics that we had to address differently. And one of those differences we discovered was the valuable role of parental support. So our parents working with their adult children have been very helpful for us. They are the biggest cheerleaders for their children, for our students. And also our support of parents of autistic students, I think, has also been important too. So this is how autism is defined by the National Institute of Mental Health. Autism spectrum disorder, ASD, is a neurological and developmental disorder that affects how people interact with others, communicate, learn, and behave. Although autism can be diagnosed at any age, it is described as a developmental disorder because symptoms generally appear in the first 2 years of life. So that's the book definition. However, description or definition really can't explain or define the life experiences of our neurodiverse students. So we're here to gain a better understanding of autism, mainly from our students, and to hear from them, their experiences and challenges, and also to introduce the organizations and resources from our local area who support them and all individuals with disabilities. So, speaking of our vendors, and I'm so happy that they were able to come, if you want to come up and just say who you are and what you do, that would be wonderful. Sure.
Hello, my name is Ann Shad, and I am with Easter Seals Midwest. We do a breadth of services, which would take me too long to go into all of them, but we do community living, we do employment services, and then we have a whole autism department. I'm in the employment department, and about 8 years ago, we developed a specific program for what I call a niche, individuals like with Asperger's syndrome, high-functioning autism. And this contract was presented to us by Vocational Rehabilitation, who's here today, to develop a program to help these individuals who are very intelligent, definitely have a high school diploma. In college, we've served several people, actually from this particular branch of the community college, and those coming out of college, and even master's degrees, who either can't get through an interview, they're very intelligent, they're going to be fantastic workers, interviews are uncomfortable for all of us, but specifically for them, so we help with that. But more than that, what we feel like what was lacking was their social communication skills that they need to be successful in a work environment, how to work as a team if they have to. So many of our people want to work in the back of the house or quiet part of the office and that type of thing. But occasionally you have to interact with your coworkers. We teach them the minimal of what you need to do. We practice that. And then just all kinds of things that come up. You know, people with autism have a really hard time with change, a new supervisor, a change in their schedule. We try to troubleshoot some of that up front and give them some of the support and strategies to help with that. But basically, we teach and practice basic employer expectations and the social communication skills you need specific to be successful in the workplace. We do a lot of upfront work because these are intelligent people. Once they know their job, they're going to be one of the best employees. We just help them with the social communication piece. So our program is called Link, and I've got information over on my table. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Madeline Seener. I am a student support specialist with the Succeed program. We are a 2-year Chancellor Certificate program at UMSL. We are for students who have an intellectual or developmental disability. While you are at Succeed, you're focusing on our 4 pillars, which is live, learn, work, and play. You can choose to live in the dorms or commute. When you're living in the dorms and commuting, we're focusing on your independent living skills such as budgeting, checklists for laundry, checklists for cleaning your bathroom. When we are talking about work, we're talking about all vocational goals. We help you with set up job shadowing, job coaching, and applying for jobs. We also, when you're focusing on the learn part of the pillar, we have our own Succeed curriculum that is around our 4 pillars, but then you're also taking some electives that are focused towards your vocational goals. And then play is a lot like what it sounds like. We're getting you engaged with all of the clubs and organizations and events on campus, and then also engaged with the St. Louis community. So that's a little bit about us.
Hi, my name is Tracy Parks. I am the district supervisor at the St. Louis North Vocational Rehabilitation Office right in Florissant at 4047 Hills. We are an employment agency that will assist individuals with different types of disabilities get a job, maintain employment, or advance in employment. We offer different types of services, including but not limited to employment services, like working with Easter Seals. They are an agency that we contract services with. Also for training purposes. There are times if someone meets the financial guidelines, they may be eligible to receive financial assistance for training programs. We do a lot of other different services, fan modifications, home modifications for individuals who is seeking employment, whether it's full-time or part-time, and we try to support them with an employment outcome. So if someone receives Social Security disability and they are interested, they are presumed automatically eligible for the VR program. And then we talk about employment goals that they may have, or if someone has an IEP or a documented disability from a medical physician, that is our criteria. And we have a conversation about what their employment goals are, their strengths, their limitations, and things that they are interested in doing as far as employment.
Hello, everyone. My name is Blair Damerman. I am the Candidate Programs Manager at Starkloff Disability Institute, where we house our Access U program, not to be confused with Access at St. Louis Community College. Access U is a career development program for college, trade, and technical students with disabilities to focus on those skills that will help you, find successful employment. We do a lot of things that a traditional career services office would do, like resume and cover letter building, interview practice, and things of that nature. But we also talk with our students about, how do I discuss my disability with an employer? How do I know what accommodations are going to be right for me in the workplace? And we do this through individualized one-on-one meetings, and we also host workshops throughout the academic year that kind of focus on these little tips and trades to be successful. So yeah, that's what we do at Access U, and thanks for being here.
So it's good to know what we have in our area for our students, because college is an option, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and it's always good to know what we have available for our students. So I'm going to hand it back to Amy Bird, and on to the next thing.
It is my pleasure to introduce our featured speaker this afternoon, Evan Halsey. Hold on. I have a lot to say about you, Evan. Evan and I got to know each other during his completion of the General Transfer Studies at Merrimack when I was a specialist there. He was such a kind, polite young man who worked very hard in all of his studies. He made the dean's list nearly every semester he was here. He graduated from STLCC with honors twice and is a member of Phi. I often went to Evan to ask him to assist with various events, since he set such a great example for others. There are a few standout moments for me. The first was when I asked Evan to assist with our new student session. He was to role play asking for accommodations with one of our math faculty members. She read over his instructor notification form and commented that a reader for exams was listed. He told her that would not be necessary for math classes. She tried to insist that he use this accommodation, but he would have none of it. Way to stand up for yourself, your needs, and show all of those students that were starting school that it was okay. Did I mention that he was an honors graduate and a member of Phi Theta Kappa? So Evan knew what he wanted, and it was really important for him to stand up for that and set that example. The second time was when I asked him to come and talk to a group of high school students who were on the spectrum, and he was actually doing that for me here at Flow Valley. They all stood very bored when I was talking to them about what they would be doing in college, but then when Evan started to talk, they could not get enough of Evan. It was at that moment that I really realized how powerful it is to have people be represented in who's talking to them and getting that information out. He really reached those students in a way that the rest of us could not. This brings us to today. Evan had spoken to a group of students and faculty at Flow Valley some years ago. When this event was being planned, it was a natural fit to invite him here today. Evan, thank you for sharing your story with us today, and thank you to your continued commitment to the work of Access.
Good afternoon. My name is Evan Halsey, and like Amy said, I'm a former student of St. Louis Community College, and I've known Amy since I started at St. Louis Community College at Merrimack after I graduated from high school, and we've known each other since then, and we've always followed each other, and I've helped out events with her at Merrimack, and then again at Flow Valley after she got transferred here. So I've been helping with her ever since, and we've always and have been invited to do some more things to help the Access Office grow and to raise awareness of what it means to have a disability. So, and what for my story, what brought me here was, first, I started out in special education back during my K-12 years a long time ago, but then I wanted to strive for greater independence after middle school, I think, because I realized that the self-contained classrooms that I used to be in back in elementary school had lost value when I got older, and I wanted to achieve greater independence and be more in the regular classes and see more of my peers, so that I could make more friends, so that I could see kind of who I was meant to be with and see what I was meant to be doing as well and what I was capable of. That's what I find is very empowering, is getting to do the things that you're able to do, so that you know what you're doing, and also so that you know how to handle life's challenges. I consider that very important. And so then later on in high school, after taking a few special education classes, that's when I wanted to distance myself from the special school district and take on my education more independently and be more with my peers later on. And when I was a kid, during my preteen years / early teen, I attended a group in Clayton, what's called Learning Consultants, for a group of people with disabilities to get together, where you meet with social workers and they help you overcome your challenges. I did enjoy it because I met some people around my age, but then once I stopped going, I was kind of glad that I wasn't going anymore, even though I had a good time, because, well, I didn't want to make a production of socializing. They really expect you to be social and to carry what they expected of you at the groups outside to school and whatnot. And I was starting to feel kind of overwhelmed about that, wanting to do more things myself, because that's when people started to kind of overwhelm me, and I wanted to do more things kind of from within and more introspectively, so that I could see what I was capable of and do what I was more interested in. And another thing that contributed to my story was I went to a pediatric neurologist when I was a kid for 15 years, but then my family and I decided not to seek treatment anymore when I was 18, because that was not really coming to anything either, because there is no cure for a diagnosis of autism, at least not under me. I just want to own it, not be cured of it. And so that's why I was relieved that I wasn't going to him anymore, because I don't like encounters where people just fuss over you and give you all the attention in a small room, and then everyone just kind of thinks that you know what you're not capable of doing. I didn't want that to be me. And I didn't like having to be asked all the questions either and get all the attention. So that's why I was kind of relieved to move on, because I wanted just to pursue my own interest rather than seek treatment. And then when I graduated from high school, I graduated from high school back in 2005, and then I appreciated all the special school district did in planning IEP meetings to help get me through high school and graduate. But then I was also relieved at the same time afterwards that I would to see, because I wanted to see what was next, and the access, and there's where I landed, in the access office at Merrimack. And so they were very helpful to me during those years that I was in school, and then eventually graduated from there and moved on to Lindenwood, where I used the access office there as well. While I was grateful for their services, but I was eventually ready to move on. And so, wherever life takes me, I'm always just going to own the fact that I have autism spectrum disorders and do what I'm interested in and capable of, because that's the empower message is to do what you're capable of doing, not let others influence you according to what they think you can't do, because that seems to be the default when it comes to the disability community, and you don't want that to be you. I sure don't want that to be me. So that's why I've decided just to do to change the things that I can and pursue life's challenges, so that you have a greater understanding of what you're able to be doing. So that's my speech. Thank you for listening.
Okay, so a lot of why we're here is to meet our panel. And these are students, I was losing my mic here, wonderful students that I have worked with over the last few years. So I'm going to introduce them, and then we can ask questions that we want. So next to Evan is Jalen Dyson. And she started at STLCC in 2018 and has a major as an author and artist down the road. At the moment, a home helper. After graduation, would like to work as an artist or writer, and enjoys drawing and writing stories. And I do want to draw your attention to Jalen's work in the back. It's the, I don't know, is it pencil or charcoal? Jalen, could you tell us? Is that, I mean, they're different from the others. Anime, yes, thank you. That's what it is. Okay, see, I don't know anything about art. Okay, so sitting next to Jalen is Thea Parrish. Thea started at STLCC the spring of 2020, majoring in graphic communications. At the time, not working, and would like to work after graduation as concept artist or self-published author and illustrator, and enjoys, and Thea has many, many interests: reading, drawing, graphic design, a bit of writing, animals, nature, mythology, science fiction, and historical romance. And we have some of Thea's pictures in the back, and Thea was very generous with her time and talent for us in the office. And next to Thea is Blue Whitman. Blue started at STLC the spring of 2019. His major is Deaf Communication Studies. And Blue works at beauty brands in Edwardsville, coloring hair, not cutting, just so you know.
No, retail side.
Oh, retail, okay, all right.
I wish I was a cosmetologist.
You wish you were a cosmetologist, okay. Would like to work after graduation as an interpreter and enjoys music, baking, and cosplay. Okay, so what we're gonna do is open up for some questions. And Scott will be our moderator for questions, because that's what he's good at. So.
That's about it. Does anybody have questions? Yes, ma'am. Diane. So the question was, for anybody in the panel, what does Autism Month mean to you?
What I think it means is just accepting people for who they are for having autism. Autism Awareness Month shouldn't be just a month. It should be kind of the whole year, just about any time.
I never really knew about it until it was mentioned at STLCC. I did not know there was a time that was to celebrate autism, which I was very shocked to find out, which is why I was so eager to create the art and come onto the panel, because I figured it would be a good chance for people to understand the things that, both the positive and negative sides of having autism. So I figured it was a good thing to know that it's not all just, you can't think for yourself, it's struggling to understand yourself.
For me, it means listening to the community, hearing the voices about needs and possible wants for change.
I guess for me, having kids learn that about people who have autism is really interesting, and it shows them that kids, like, if they don't understand that kids who do have autism have problems, and they aren't aware of this, it's good to show them that this is what kids with these symptoms are going through.
Any other question? Yes, ma'am. The question is, are your experiences, academic and social, different in college from high school?
Definitely. Back in high school, I didn't realize I had autism, so I was the weird kid in the group of already outcasted kids. I never really fit in until I realized, oh, yeah, no, I'm autistic. It explains a lot, and I got the help I needed here, and life has been just a bit easier.
I didn't really write this down, but I know that in high school I was kind of bullied for, I was diagnosed with autism. They knew I had autism, but my teachers would always say, "Oh, you're too smart. You don't have autism." I was like, "But I do." Like they would try to downplay it, and they would try to give me more work, but that never really deterred me because I like to learn. I like the work they gave me, and eventually they stopped doing that due to the fact that they thought that most of the problems I had was I was just misbehaving, and that was the same with my family. They thought they just saw a person who was acting up or wanting attention, and that led to a lot of problems. So I think in high school it was difficult at home, but I know high school was my outlet to just learn and get away from all of that. So I'm definitely grateful for high school. It was different here due to the fact that I don't get bullied. People actually accept you for who you are, and if they don't want to talk to you, they're not going to talk to you. Like, you don't have to worry about it. You're not going to get shunned by anybody. They're not going to talk behind your back. It's just like, hang out with who you want to hang out with, and then if they want to hang out with you back, that's that. And that's how it should be. Just manners.
So for me, I too was bullied because I was very different. I tend to stay away from many people. There was a time when I did try to fit in with high school people I went to high school with. It didn't really work out. I was very antisocial and very introverted. Is that what Yeah, I was very introverted, and at the time, I really didn't want any friends. I kind of thought having friends was a waste of time, and people thought I was just this weird girl who was dressing like this, who's always in the corner or in the library. I do tend to suffer from panic attacks when I'm in like big crowds of people. My heart rate starts to go up. I start to panic and cry, so I have to isolate myself sometimes. And a lot of people called me a nerd because I love to read. I love reading. I love to draw. I love to read. I love to write. When I came to college, I was a little nervous. I didn't know how it would transpire when I first came, but I have met a few friends along the way who have helped me and encouraged me. Sorry if my voice sounds a little shaky. I'm a little nervous. But I've met a few friends along the way. Thea being one of them. We have a bit in common. I have met a few more friends, and they kind of helped me see that you don't have to change yourself or hide who you really are just to show.
To be accepted.
Yeah, to be accepted. You know, I mean, all of us are different. I mean, in my opinion, there is no such thing as being normal, at least in my opinion. I mean, we're all different. We're all wonderful, beautiful, unique people who some of us have a hard time expressing and accepting who we are. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're not skinny, if you're not perfect. I mean, there's no such thing as being perfect. Nothing in this world is perfect. And we all have to be just accepting to who we are. I try to find reasons to like myself and to be accepted of myself for a long time. But when I came to college, it kind of helped me start to see like how valued and how appreciative I should be more to like my life and my friends, and more so my family. So that being here, it really helped me a lot. It helped me get out of that isolated stage a little bit.
What I feel like people should know about autism is that for me, it's been being trapped in my own head most of the time. Like my emotions, I don't really, like I have a problem with communication, like not really talking itself, that is not a problem, trust me. But more so what I say, if it's offensive or not. I need to think more than the average person before I say something, and sometimes that can be like having an awkward pause in the conversation while I'm thinking about what I should say, because due to the fact that I will say something that could probably, like say, if it's like towards the LGBTQ community, which I am a part of, and I totally support, but I will sometimes say something like, instead of like asking what are your pronouns, I'll be like, what do you go by? And some people will just look at me like, what are you asking? And I'm just like, what do you go by? They're like, you mean my pronouns? I was like, yes. So it's just like, I kind of like, I don't try to offend people, but like my wording is kind of, that was just a subtle thing. There's been a lot of more clear, but also more offensive things that I have said that have kind of like came out that way, but that meant nothing to what I was trying to say. Like, I just mean, like, it's just a thought process thing. Also, it's like, when you have autism, a lot of times, there's like, bipolar disorder is closely associated with autism. I've noticed that a lot of people have bipolar disorder these days, and I can actually identify when you have it due to the fact, just by like seeing how you act and like your mood swings if you like go from one place to another. Like, it's easy to just determine like, oh, well, they probably have bipolar disorder. They just go switch like that. So it's just like, you can totally see that. And it's like, I've tried to help people who I've noticed who've had it, and sometimes they want the help, which is very rare. Other times they just think I'm trying to pick on them, and I'm like, no. I go through this, and if you want my help, I will help you, but if you don't, then I just can't help you. That's how it is. Also, it's kind of like Nadia said, like it's hard to make friends when you have autism, because when, like, you just can't go up to somebody and say, hey, I have autism, but can we still be friends? Because that's just kind of like, they're going to look at you and be like, oh, so you're one of those weirdos. So they're gonna start asking you a bunch of questions and be like, can you do this? Can you do that? What can you do? What can't you do? And it's just like, they don't look at you as a person, and at the end of the day, they'll look at you as like, they have to get to know you for who you are before they can look at you with autism. Because they will judge you before they get to know you.
That is so true. It's very true. A lot of people judge by, if you aren't what they think or how they want you to be, they will judge. And a lot of us do judge, I myself, at certain stuff. But a lot of people like judge stuff as far as being like, if you're different from stereotypes. If they're different from how they are, they will judge, and they will like question how you are, how you act, or how you live, and things like that. Like, we all live differently. I do have some weird quirks too. For one, I've been doing this at school for a long time. I kind of rock back and forth to either to music or just like to nothing. And people at school will just look at me, like asking, like, am I okay? Is there something wrong? Or do you need to go to the nurse or anything, the counselor? And I kind of just tell them that this is just how I cope. Because I've been doing this for a long time, and I've been asked the same question, like, are you okay? Is there something wrong? And there's nothing wrong. It's just I do this just to either calm my nerves or just like, at least to think, right?
Yeah, just like to just get in your zone, you know?
Yeah, yes, that is a perfect example, like to get in like a zone of stuff.
A good mindset.
Yeah, a good mindset.
Because like what I do, I pace. Like I'll literally get up and walk back. Like if you leave me in a room too long, like without anything to do, I'll just get up. I'll be like, you know what? I'm gonna make something do. I will walk back and forth. I will walk, like it's a big enough room, I will walk in circles around the room. I'll do laps. I will walk back and forth. If it's a small room, from each corner, it's just I pace. I can't, and people, my mom thought that was ADHD, but she realized I did it way more often than when I was just hyper. I would do it when I was sick. I would do it when I was tired. I would do it in the middle of the night. She was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm pacing.
Or talking to yourself.
Yeah, I mumble to myself a lot. I'm a total Deku.
Sorry.
She gets it.
But yeah, I tend to talk to myself. I can't say for anybody else, but I have a weird thing. I tend to talk to myself. I have a split personality, so that's one thing. And then I talk as if I'm reading my stories out loud. A lot of people would think that's kind of weird, but I do it because that's how, like, if I'm reading my story out loud, I kind of read out like how it'll sound. If I want to see how, like, if it's good and if it's bad, I gotta change it. I do it a lot, and people think that
When you think too, like when you're like thinking through stuff, like thinking through difficult situations, you'll start talking it out, like acting it out. Yeah, that's right.
that is perfect example. It's like acting out and stuff. Like I'll pace around or rock and just talk for hours.
The downside of mine, like with my pacing and everything like that, is that I have ADHD, so I think I'd have really bad road rage if I drove a car. Just saying, you know how crazy it is on the road these days.
Do we have any other questions out there? You guys got on a roll there.
Oh, sorry about that.
So,
Hold on, let me repeat the question for our live streamers. The question is, do you feel more comfortable around other people with autism? I think I got that pretty close.
for me, it's no difference. I've been treated, I feel like, as long as you don't have, so like I could like see like if you're like super hyper, you're like really jittery, then I'm kind of like, okay, you gotta back off. Or if you're like, but that's weird because that's like what I am. I'm not jittery, but I'm super hyper. I talk a lot. But like if it's other people, it's kind of like if you move a lot, like move your hands or like are just like dancing or like just jigging in place, I kind of look at you like, what are you doing? And it's just like, I don't really like stand. But usually if you don't have like any harmful tendencies towards me, and you just explain like, hey, I just like to dance, or hey, I just do this because it like calms me down, then I'll just be like, oh, we're totally cool, and that won't be a problem anymore. So I don't really care as long as you don't have any like bad intentions towards me.
You want to say anything?
Yeah, you can just sit in here.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of neutral with the topic. It doesn't matter for me either way, as long as, like Thea said, there's no ill will. It's perfectly fine. I can feel accepted almost anywhere for the most part.
How about you, Evan?
I feel accepted. It doesn't really matter to me, but what I prefer to do is pursue activities that are in my best interests and meet people in the non-autistic community. I may meet somebody who has it too, but that's probably gonna. But I'm probably not going to know it initially because I like to know people as a person first rather than venture into the disability communities to try to find friends. I prefer pursue my interests first and then and get to know everyone before I know kind of their before I know about their whether or not they have autism like I do, because if I meet people, if I join a common cause with others and then meet other people, then I feel more comfortable and at ease because I'm enjoying the activity and meeting people with common interests with me. So for me, it doesn't really matter, but I do prefer the mainstream over any protected environments.
First, I just want to say I'm sorry we've been talking over y'all. I want to say sorry first because I know we've been talking.
It's okay.
It happens.
All good.
But to me, it really shouldn't matter if a person has autism. If I meet somebody with autism, I have a friend who he actually told me he has a form of autism himself. He and I, we kind of communicated over the years about it. We kind of like certain stuff and like different stuff. But as long as they like, they're good towards me, I mean, it should be fine. It shouldn't really matter. And if I meet somebody who doesn't have autism, or if I meet somebody who does, I mean, it shouldn't really be a huge big thing. At least in my opinion, I believe that.
I feel like I don't have to know if you have autism or not. It just depends on how you treat me and if you respect me as a person.
Safe to say we're all kind of neutral on the topic.
Pretty much.
Does anybody else have a question? Renee?
What is your opinion on person first or identity first referring to autism?
So,
Preference for a person with autism, or is it autistic person? I've been hearing a lot of
So,
hold on, let me repeat real quick before I forget. The question is for the panel, do you prefer person first or identity first? I think I got that right. Language, so you're a person with autism or you're an autistic person?
so I wrote, what number is that actually? Because I have to find that number. Okay, it's 3. So I wrote that when someone says autistic person, people they're referring to a disorder they barely understand. When it is used towards myself, I feel belittled and looked down upon. Though I don't see the difference between the terms, at least a person with autism sounds more polite, but any term regarding autism sounds insulting to me. I don't want to be the girl with autism. I want to be myself.
I agree with that.
I'm an autistic adult. You can take me out of the autism, so to say, but you can't take it away from me. You can't separate me from a disorder I have. There's no way to do it.
I mean, you can't separate it, but I don't want to be known for it.
What I
That's
think is
awesome.
that I want to be known that I want people to understand that I have autism, just so that to gain more awareness. But it's still it's not my full identity. I like to be known as a person first, because having autism is not fully what my identity is, because a disability is not a person's identity. I prefer to be known as a person first, kind of basically known for my interesting character attributes, anything that gives me my sense of individuality and sense of character. That's what I want to be known for first. But I don't mind that people know that I have autism. It's just that I don't want that to be my defining factor, because I want to be seen as a person.
I agree with that.
Deep
do
words,
too.
man.
I feel like, yeah, I would want to be like identified as myself. I mean, if people know I have autism, I mean, that's fine, but just be more aware of how you take it, of how you'll like go forth with that. Like if you say that, oh, I'm autistic, or it's the autistic girl, we shouldn't mess with her, yeah, I'll take that as an offensive. It's like you're judging me as a person.
So it was kind of like, for me, I was in special school district for my whole life, besides preschool and kindergarten. Everything else from like 3rd grade and up was special school district. I graduated from special school district in high school. Like, I've always been in special school district. And throughout my years there, it's always either been, oh, she's the weird, creepy girl who just sits in the back and draws those creepy figures, and because I wasn't really good at art back then. So they were like, she draws these creepy little dark things, and then she doesn't, like, I don't want to be known for my autism. I want you to be aware that I have it, but I don't want to be treated any differently because of it. Like, I feel like that is the main thing, because just because you have a disorder, that doesn't define who you are. It's part of your physical makeup, but it does not define who you are. You still have your own personality aside from what people think. Like, you can still think for yourself. You don't need help with everything. You're not like physically handicapped. You can do things. So it's kind of just like, they act like you're paralyzed when you have autism. I'm like, no. Like, I could choose. I know what I want to eat. I can eat this. I can eat this. I don't need all these questions. No, I don't feel suicidal. I'm fine.
Or they'll make you feel like that.
They just belittle you.
Yeah. Or just make you like think that, oh, she has autism, she needs all this attention, so we have to do this for her. No, I don't want to feel like that. I mean, times, well, for me, times I would need help, certain things, but for other things I could do by myself. if a person asks for the help, then you can help that person. If they don't, you don't need to pressure yourself into like going to help them. I mean, nobody's asking you to help them. If they ask you for help, then okay, this person asked for it, I'm gonna help them a little bit. If they don't need my help anymore, then that's fine. You don't have to like feel like you have to help this person. You don't have to feel like, you shouldn't feel like, obligated to help this person. If they don't want the help, then you don't need to help them. If they don't want it, if they don't ask for it, yeah.
Right, like I'm going like if I need help, I will ask for it. Like I know how to voice. Like if, it's different if you like don't know how to voice. Like that is sometimes depending on like your diagnosis. Sometimes you can't voice. That's part of the communication thing. Sometimes you can't voice what you want to say, and sometimes you need to ask people to ask you simple yes or no questions. For most people I've met, that is not the case. But I have, since I was in special school district, there's been people all over the spectrum, so I'm familiar with like a bunch of them. Me personally, I have Asperger's. That is not very like dire. It's not as low, high. I don't know which way the spectrum goes, so I'm not even gonna say that. But it's kind of like you're very like you're high functioning. Like you think very clearly like other people. You just have a different way of viewing the world, and it's kind of hard to say what you want to say. And for me, that was kind of like, okay, I'm gonna try to explain it to you, but if I don't get it, just put some input in, and then maybe we can reach a conclusion of like what we both understand.
That's
That
awesome.
makes sense.
It's good. Derek back here is dying to ask a question. What you got for me, man?
What?
Well, the question,
Autism Speaks.
what's your opinion on the organization Autism Speaks?
I have never heard of them.
I am not a fan. I will leave it at that. It's not a great organization. In reality, it's actually a hate group that promotes ABA therapy, which is essentially abuse. So, yeah. It's hard to put into words for me, honestly. That's one of those things I can't get out.
Hold on, we're
I automatically hate it.
So they support pretty harmful stuff for people with autism. Like they support harmful ideas and stuff with autism. So they do more harm than help. But they always go into the guise of actually helping. So they tend to use that to pass off really bad stuff about autistic people.
Yeah,
Automatically, automatically don't like it.
So when people say light it up blue, don't, and the puzzle piece is a big sign for Autism Speaks. It's actually representative of a missing piece of ourselves. From my knowledge, a good majority of the autism community, let alone the entire neurodivergence community, prefers the rainbow infinity sign.
So part of my artwork back there, two of them, the big brain with the lightning bolts coming out, and then the boy with like the stuff coming out of his head, those were supposed to be like, originally they were supposed to be like other symbols for autism, because Miss Mary had explained to me through email that, Miss Mary Wagner, that, oh gee, thanks. No, I'm just playing. I'm playing, you're good.
I was just trying.
So it was kind of like the colorful thing, but it's kind of like, yeah, that one. It was kind of like, it was like the puzzle piece was supposed to be like, they called autism a puzzling disorder or something like that. And I thought that was very offensive, because it's like, you can understand it if you try. You just have to try. You can't just say, oh, well, this is what it is. You have to literally try to understand. You just can't look at it as misbehaving, or that you can't do stuff for yourself, or that you're just low functioning. you have to literally try to understand people with autism in order to get where they're coming from. Because usually it's just a form of mind. Like, even the kids who are in the wheelchairs who like use the puzzles. I've seen a kid in a wheelchair who's very low on the spectrum, put 1,000-piece puzzle together on his own on the table. And that thing was like not even a picture. It was like a big graffiti thing that was like abstract and going every which way with like staircases and everything, like upside down staircases, everything. Put that together by himself within like 10 minutes, 1,000 pieces. Like, it just depends on like, it's not puzzling. You just have to understand it. That's all I can say on that. That's really all I can say.
Oh, we have a follow-up here.
All right, so also another thing about Autism Speaks is that, like, off the top of my head, I pretty much know like 2 commercials. There might be more, I'm pretty sure, but like one of the commercials is called, I'm pretty sure, I Am Autism, and I'm not great at explaining things, but the best way I could explain that one was like they pretty much like they kind of like they kind of like portrayed like autism in a way that like it's like they kind of portray autism in a way like they like ruin families on purpose or something like that. I don't know. And then like the second commercial is like a mother with an autistic child talk about how she had thoughts of killing her child on like in a commercial or something.
Wow. I've not seen those.
I haven't either. I've never heard of them.
No.
Anybody? Oh, we got some over here. I'm running. Hold it. I'm going to bring it to you. I'd fly it if I could.
What can the professors do to make the classroom less stressful for you?
So for what my teachers had did back in my last semester, they had given me, so from my type of autism, because I didn't know there was like different types. I thought that mine was like the only
There's not different types, but there's different levels.
Yeah, different levels. That's what I meant. I didn't know like there were different levels of autism, but my teachers have given me more time. Like if there was a test, they have given me more time to work on it, because if the test was to go fast, then I would kind of just panic a lot. And I would try to hurry up and get done. I wouldn't be able to answer or read it fully within that time limit. So they had given me more time, and I would have to go to the testing center to get that more time for that test. At least that's what they did for me.
They did the same thing for me, I believe, didn't they? On my accommodations? Yeah, they did the same thing for me. Also, what I liked that they had was the recorder, so you could record your lectures and take it and if you you didn't even have to be a recorder you got from the school. You could literally download an app on your phone and they would let you record it on your phone. You just have to have what it says on the accommodations, like stuff to record or recording device or whatever, which I really liked, because sometimes the teacher would talk too fast for me to catch up. Like when I was in math class and taking general studies when I first came in 2020, that was graphic communications was not my original major, but general studies was, and it was very difficult to catch up with my teacher during the math, and so I would record the lectures in biology and math and then just go over it and rewind it as many times as I needed. So that was actually very helpful.
One thing that I found helpful was in school, sometimes one of my professors posted his lectures on YouTube, and that helped me because even though I was able to take notes in this guy's class, he actually when he posted one of his lectures on YouTube, that helped me because then we could revisit what he was talking about, in addition to the PowerPoint presentation, which I think he always made when they make it accessible. But when they post themselves talking, then you can get more kind of the ins and outs of their lecture in addition to the PowerPoint presentation, so you can understand what they want you to know in preparation for tests. So that's one thing that that's one thing that one of my professors did that I found was helpful.
I agree with that.
For me, it would be being more lenient if you catch us doing other stuff rather than just paying attention. I, for one, have to be multitasking in order to focus. So if you're lecturing and you catch me either
looking at my phone or playing with a fidget toy or something, just let it go, because in reality, I am actually focusing.
The thing, I could say one more thing with me is sort of like that and sort of like what he said. It's like a little bit in between. How can I word this? I would say yes, like I learn a different way than most people. Like I'll ask a lot of questions, so I can see how the little YouTube thing will work. I totally agree with him on that. But I also like have ADHD, so it's kind of hard for me to sit still and stay like in one place for a long time. But drawing helps me with that. So it's like if I could like write or draw. You all right? So if I could like, just shaky. Oh yeah, you're like totally trembling. But if I could like write or draw like what we're talking about, it would help me understand and comprehend more. Like if I have it down on paper, and that will also be like something that I use like for the class. Like so I would like sometimes when I was in Mr. Carlos Blanco's class, he was an English teacher, and he would have these lectures about like the brain or something, and I'm just like, so I would try to like draw and be like at the end of class I would show him. I'm like, is this what you're talking about? And he'd be like, 1, that's very good artwork. 2, we're not supposed to be drawing in class. 3, that's half of what I'm talking about. So I do another picture. And I'm like, is this what you're talking about? And then once I got it, he'd be like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. I was like, okay, I get it now. So it's kind of like, yeah.
And another for me, this is actually what Ms. Wagner had recommended to me at the time. It was this app called Otter that she had recommended. It's basically an app where when the teachers talk, it'll write out what they're saying, and you could also, it'll also do like an audio type check. Like it'll like record what they're saying and it'll read out what they're saying. So that helped a lot. And then I hated Blackboard at the time, but then I started to get used to it.
So now we're taking it away.
Yeah.
So
Blackboard is very difficult if it's not art related.
we're running out of time. I'm getting the hook here. So I'll just throw out there for anybody that's interested though, the Otter app, OTTER.ai. It's a free app. You can use it to record lectures and it will transcribe in basically real time. So you can have a written word of what's being said. It's wonderful. So, and it's free for the most part. So anyway, that's going to wrap it up. We're running out of time as far as I know. I'm sorry if I didn't get to everybody's question. So Mary, Amy, do you have anything else you want to throw in there? Got a dance, song, something?
Do you?
Okay. You don't want me singing?
No, I don't want you singing, Scott. No, that's all right. No, no, or singing or dancing, no need. Okay, anyway, I want to thank our panel for their honesty. For their honesty and their insight, and for their willingness to share their life experiences. Because actually, these are all the questions I had wanted to ask, but I didn't know how to ask them. So I am glad that you all came today. Thank you so much for your time. I don't know what else. Amy, you want to finish it up?
I will second that. It's very brave of you all to come here and talk. And I know you were all nervous, as people are when they have to get in front of a group of people. But I hope you know that so many people are so interested in what you have to say. And I think this is the first time we've had really any panel of students on the spectrum to come and talk about what it's like for them to be students here. And so you're making a big difference for everybody who will be more willing to come forward and talk about things and let us know how we can be of more support to you. We're going to have people here still till about 3 o'clock. And so if anybody wants to ask specific questions of any of our panelists, or if there's other things you would like to share as we're sort of wrapping up, but know that we really appreciate the time that you spent here today. I'm going to give a little shout out to Derek, who doesn't want any attention probably, but Derek is our work study student, and he actually put together some music because his thing, one of his many things is music. So some people have art, some people have running marathons and half marathons and hiking up mountains and being Eagle Scouts. And then some people really love music. So Derek had an idea to come up with a playlist of some songs that featured some musical artists on the spectrum, right? And so he can talk to you about that and share some of that as well. So I appreciate that he was here. He went to class like a good student and then got here a little bit later. So thank you all for coming. Really appreciate this event. And let us know if there's anything else that you need, or feel free to walk around and see some more of our vendors. Thank you.
Can we get up now?